played morning round yesterday in the golf course. I thought played as easy as I've ever seen it, and I think this is my 9th tournament here. There is a shortage of rough. The greens are much smoother than they have been. As for today, I played late. It was quite windy, and it was a little more trying.
Was your game basically the same today as it was yesterday, except for the elements?
No, I played much better today from tee to green than I did yesterday, and because of the wind, it was very difficult to get your approach shots, close to the pin where you had, makeable birdie putts. And I had a few more putts today than I did yesterday, but I think it was because of the conditions.
Lee, I know that last night you were very concerned because of your mother's health about your mental attitude toward the game, but apparently it's improved quite a bit today.
Well, Vern, I was, yesterday I got a phone call from my sister very early in the morning, and she says mother's in great pain and she wants to go back to the hospital. So they called the doctor, and he hospitalized her again and doped her up pretty good, and she seems to be quite happy and not in pain. And I started to pick the ball up yesterday. I was very unhappy. And then I visited her last night, and I went out to see her, and she was very happy, and she didn't know, where she was at, but she was very happy. And I came out today with a little different attitude, and I shot a real fine 68 in this win, so I'm pretty proud of that today.
The course played, I would guess, a little bit differently because of the wind today.
Well, it's these greens are not very big, and they have very large trees around the greens. And when you come in trying to play the wind, and then when the ball is approaching the green, it gets the wind, the trees are blocking the wind, and the ball kind of does funny things. So it's really interesting out there in that wind today.
You had 68 today, Jerry. Great round.
Thank you. I didn't play that well. I did make a few putts, but I also made some mistakes out there that cost me some shots.
Well, they say if you learn by your mistakes, you'll play better the next day.
This is true. This is true. My patience is getting a little better, it seems like, each week, and it's improved my game an awful lot. And I just hope that I can continue to play well.
which proves that a seasoned pro can go from a 75 to a 66 in 24 hours. Right?
Well, I don't know. Last week I went from 79 to 64 in 24 hours, and my game varies so much that I really can't explain it. I played terribly yesterday, and just awful. And I never have played very well here at Colonial. This is by far the best round I've ever shot.
In my opinion, it was, and this was urged to a court this morning, in that the only way that he should have properly been moved was to have been moved under the federal rules of criminal procedure, which were not utilized. And in fact, the matters this morning were for state arraignment, and so it's very obvious that the federal people cooperated in getting him to New Orleans for the purpose of the state cases only.
Federal Marshal Black maintains that this is a rather common practice, and he's surprised you didn't know about it.
It is not a common practice to not give someone a hearing under Rule 40 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, and it is not common practice, I hope, to keep people incommunicado when they're requesting calls to their attorney continuously while they're being transferred at the time of transfer.
Concerning the Rush.
It comes from an organization that has supported the communists consistently in the country. I can't say that the Ford Foundation is a communist organization, but it has supported communist groups all over the country.
Well, how would Chief Dyson get into a predicament like this, as you see it?
Probably for the simple reason that most police departments do need more money. Some of them are looking to the federal government, which is a mistake. Some of them are then, say, looking to the Ford Foundation, which is a greater mistake. Either one of them involve the same thing. They destroy the local autonomy and local control of that police department.
Why pick Dallas?
Pick Dallas for the simple reason it's the only city that's been stupid enough to take the money.
This is the LBJ Library in Austin. Tomorrow morning it will be dedicated in ceremonies featuring a guest list as long and as varied as one has seen in the Lone Star State for a while. At the top it features President and Mrs. Richard Nixon, Vice President and Mrs. Spiro Agnew. It includes many members of the LBJ administration, people like Dean Rusk and others who served on cabinets and commissions. It features a good many senators. It features the Texas legislature and most of the state leaders, and then such varied other characters as actor Hal Holbrook, actor Gregory Peck, and even Dr. Seuss, who wrote the children's books. The LBJ Library rises 8 stories on the east side of the University of Texas campus. It cost almost $19 million to build, most of that money paid by the University of Texas. It will be administered, however, by the National Archives Division of the General Services Administration, and President Nixon's visit to Austin will, in a sense, be his acceptance of the building from the builders. Inside the building are 31 million presidential papers, as well as displays featuring the life and times of Lyndon Johnson and what it's like to live in the White House. Adjacent to the library is the Lyndon Baines Johnson School of Public Affairs, a long, low building which will offer a master's degree in public affairs. It's the first presidential library to be part of a university and to be connected directly with a school designed to produce men who can lead governments. Channel 8 will feature exclusive coverage of the library dedication beginning at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and at 11:30, Channel 8 will provide live broadcast coverage for all three networks as well as for Channel 8 viewers.
Well, we have to really, it sounds simple, but we have to start thinking about people rather than whether America is going to be faced with a supersonic jet that's going to cost us billions of dollars. I think it's very exciting and patriotic that we be among the first landing on the moon, but it means absolutely nothing when a poor person can't stand up on their own feet within a given community. So that we have to get out of the myth that America is all things to all nations and start getting back to our constitutional precepts that the citizens of America will be treated fairly.
This bill would create a publicly owned insurance corporation which would write liability insurance on all governmentally owned vehicles to insure them under the Texas Tort Claims Act. It would be similar to the Texas Employers Insurance Association, which the legislature created in 1913 when it passed the workmen's compensation law in Texas.
Why is this needed?
Well, it's needed because last year the Attorney General of Texas reports that the Highway Department paid premiums of $924,065 for coverage on their vehicles. Of that amount, $38,503 were paid out in claims. $83,000 was in reserve for unpaid claims. Since the bill's been introduced, the company that wrote the policy has come before the insurance committee and told us they're going to refund at least $160,000 of that premium. I'm convinced if the bill hadn't been introduced and if the hearing hadn't been held, we never would have gotten that refund.
Lee, I got to thank you for the plug the other night. We got 4 girls who called and want to know if they were the one in the hot pants. We say, thank you, Lee, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
right at it. He's going to be right pin high. Here he comes.
All right. All right.
Well, I feel pretty good just shooting the score I've shot here. I'm just trying to play the golf course and let the scores take care of themselves. I'd like to continue to do as well as I've done. I've missed some shots and come out pretty good with them, but on the whole, I'm pleased with my play.
The aliens who are playing in this tournament complain of the winds and the swirls and the way you're unable to control your ball. You've played here for a number of years now. How do you feel about a course played like today?
Well, it is hard to control, and a lot of times it's hard. You know, we have our yardages, but it's hard to tell exactly which way the wind's blowing. And I have Ernie Vossler's son, Eddie, TCU player, caddying for me, and I told Eddie before the tournament started that I was not going to shoot at very many pins this week. These are relatively small greens, and rather than shoot at the pin, I'm just trying to put it in the middle of the green. It's worked out rather nicely so far.
Which way?
Today it was much tougher. The wind blowing, and it seemed to swirl. It seemed like it was never really where you wanted it. It was always in you or behind you, or it never really was a comfortable wind.
Did you find trouble, as Trevino said he did, with your approach shots, not knowing what the wind would do to the ball once you got in among the trees?
Yeah, it cost me a couple of times. I thought I hit the ball very well. I birdied 6 and 7, but then I was right in the middle of the fairway on 10 and thought the wind was into me, and it was really with me, and I went over the green with a good shot and made a bogey. And the same thing happened on number 12 when I thought the wind was into me, but it was blowing left to right, and I went to the right in a trap. And I had a little bit of trouble a few holes coming in. Maybe I was just getting tired, I don't know. But it was a difficult wind.
This has all come about because of people interested in our government, and by people working together, we have good government and we have good services at a low tax rate.
Being as objective as you can under the circumstances, do you think we're going to get it?
I'm very optimistic because we are very active in the national associations. We know what other counties have, and we feel like that we can bring it home.
We was riding and we was driving along and we could barely see. So I told them we was in a tornado warning, and we got along the road, and like we saw something about 100 yards in front of us. I looked up, I said, that's a tornado. We got a little further and it went past us, I guess. And it was supposed to be in a house on the side of the road. And we looked over and there's a guy, laying in the house, and the house was gone. So we picked up about 7 people. We was trying to get one guy, he was barely breathing, we was trying to get him back, and he died in the hospital here. But it just demolished the whole place. It was just something that I've never seen before.
What did it look like when you first saw it?
Well, just a big old cloud of dust, just going across fields and throwing tin and trees and things around. And it just picked our car up, and just put it over in the ditch. So I told him we just better stop, but after we got in the ditch.
Anybody in the car hurt?
No, we picked people up, and that's what you said,
We've got 3 units out of Waco. We've got 2 first aid units and a small catering unit. We're going to be bringing at least 2 more catering units out of Dallas and a mobile feeding unit out of Dallas and Waco. So we should have anywhere from 6 to 10 units here with about personnel for 15 or 20, which should be plenty enough.
Well, you're faced with a problem of adequate shelter, I believe. Where do you plan to put the people?
Right now, we're going to open up the Whitney Central Fire Station. This is going to be our main housing point. Then we're going to probably branch off from there, or depending on the need, we'll probably open up a school building, something like this, when we find out there is a need for it. So far, here at the Whitney, there hadn't been too many come into us yet. We plan on more of them coming in around midnight for us.
In Channel 8 News this Saturday, the President is coming to Austin, Texas to honor Texas' own President. Stay tuned for all the news on Channel 8 coming up in just a few moments.
From the end of June until the end of the program year, which is October 31st, we need approximately $13,500.
Where will you get that? Do you know?
Any source that might be available. United Fund, no funds are available. We've searched that out. There's a possibility that if the city can come up with some money, we can find it there. Otherwise, we may try foundation.
wonderful. If I can do it, the others can do it that's had transplants.
How's the baby getting on?
Fine. She's as healthy as she can be.
What's next?
Nothing. No more for me.
How about the transplant? How's it working out?
Beautiful. They took a biopsy, part of my kidney, and said that it was working beautifully.
And how long were you in the hospital total?
Over 3 weeks, close to a month.
Mr. Prittle, how do you feel about all this?
I think it's great. It's just wonderful that everything came out okay. And I thank God it all worked out right.
What are your future plans?
Well, I just want everything to keep going the way it is right now and just take care of my little girl.
Were you ever actually worried about their lives?
Well, not really. I think they're in real good hands out here. They got the best doctors in the world out here, I think.
A person that has the ability to work or to be trained for work and does not take advantage of that should not be the recipient of taxpayers' efforts. I hope I've answered your question.
What about all the mothers at home taking care of kids?
Well, and we're talking about those that have the ability, that are able and willing to work. And certainly I don't think that a child should be torn from his mother's breast in order to appease Mr. Nixon. Even though his mother emptied bedpans, I don't know where he was, but I don't know if his mother did work, as he stated in the press conference, whether he gained from his mother not being around with him more.